Humor does more than just make people laugh. It allows you to connect better with your audience and helps your message to stand out from the crowd in a light yet memorable way. Our first guest on the pod is someone who uses this tool to entertain, to storytell, and to build a community. Today, I'm joined by Aditi Mittal, a comedian, fellow podcaster, and a dear, dear friend, to understand the real deal behind the business of making people laugh. Also, she is the founder of the Ghanta Awards. Aditi Mittal has been in the business of making people laugh since 2009. When I knew I was getting into podcasting, I was thinking about guests and I knew who my first guest needed to be because I'm somebody who's always been into like, oh my God, there has to be a rapport when you're collaborating with someone. And Aditi, I would not have had anybody else as my first guest, but you, so welcome.
I am so deeply honored, Anam, and you're right that I've done a lot of podcasts in the past, but I've never guested on a podcast like this.
So I'm making you lose your guest virginity.
My guesting virginity.
Guesting virginity. Is that a thing? We should make it a thing.
Yes, we should. I'm really excited. Because I've never done this setup with the mic and the like talking to each other while there's a camera like looking on. I've never done this before. So I'm really looking forward to like spreading fake news.
Or the things that we often get accused of doing.
or even saying things like things about my privilege that I don't understand. Like,
no, you do. Listen, you try. Can I say something about Aditi that I know? She tries to pass a lot of things off in light humor, and some of those about herself are not true. From what I know of you, you are someone who genuinely doesn't give yourself enough credit about all the wonderful things you do beyond like work. For example, Aditi once influenced me to try aerial yoga.
I will count that. Like when I'm dead and when I'm at the gates of heaven and God is like, what did you do what do you do to deserve to get in? I'll be like, I took Anam for aerial yoga.
And then put her to sleep in the
hammock.
I fell asleep while doing aerial yoga inside the, what is it called? Not
the hammock. The hammock.
Yeah. So that happened. Fun times. But I also want to ask you a lot of questions today because like we're making you lose your guest virginity as we've just established. I did not know that was going to happen. While I know you in the capacity of like a friend, and the first time we ever met, we bonded and stayed up till 6:30 a.m. at the Cosmopolitan Awards, the Blogger Awards in, what was it, 2018?
2018, that's right. Yeah,
I saw a very fun side to Aditi that evening. And then as the night went on, I think for whatever reason, we bonded and got so emotional and were sharing like the saddest
incidents from our lives.
Yeah. I think by 6 a.m. we were both in tears and crying.
Yes, for sure. I started crying at 4 o'clock. You joined later at about like 5 o'clock. So I'll give you that.
It's true. But I also, like I said, I want to ask you questions. Listen, this is me being a podcaster. Let me like get people to get to know you. So the thing I realized that I actually have never asked you is why comedy? What got you here? Especially because growing up, I don't think we saw very many female comedians, no?
I don't know how to do anything else.
Bachpan se hi joker thi aap.
Yeah. I genuinely don't know how to do anything else. I lived, I think, you know what? My dad was very funny. My mom is hilarious. And I've always seen being funny or being silly as a way to kind of like be accepted by people. And so I kind of like, that was the main reason that I thought, you know what, let me do this. And I'm just a sucker for like approval from the outside. My God, even right now, I'm like, oh my God, who's watching this? Please like me. I thank you. It's always been about that. It's always been about making myself more endearing to people. It's always about making myself, be able to sit in a room for long. I'll tell you the backstory was key. My dad used to have like friends over and, like every evening, actually, my dad was a guitar player. And so they would, have people over and they'd be playing guitar and singing songs and having drinks. And I remember I was the only kid there and I would want to hang around in that room. But then they'd be like, nah, Aditi, go inside and play. So I realized if I do ridiculous things and say ridiculous things, they'll laugh and be like, hey, Aditi, sing a song, do a dance. And I would get to hang around in that room a little bit longer. And so that's how I started off. Just like, I remember once I applied like a thick layer of cream on my face and walked out and pretended that that's how they apply cream in ads or whatever, because during that time they would do the dosa and then and then the cream would vanish into the
Yeah,
skin, right? So then
yeah.
I did lots of that, and I went, I was like, Papa, it's not disappearing in my skin only. And people were like, oh, Aditi, what a goof. And I was like, oh my God, I can hang around here with the adults for like 30 minutes longer now.
This got real deep, real fast, but essentially the crux of your career started from like external validation.
200%. Yes.
But can I tell you, that is also 100% of the content creators on the internet
Yeah,
these days.
you know, the funny thing is, I was telling somebody, I said, yaar, follower increase karne hai, kya karna hai? So then my manager was like, Ati, make videos na, on Instagram, make videos, put yourself
Reels
out there.
banao, reels
banao, Instagram shorts banao. And also I was like, bhai, main to karungi. Then I did one. Then I was like, nahi karna. So then I was talking to my manager. I said, listen, I tried to be an influencer and they did not want me. And she's like, one second. Who wants an influencer? Who is like, market mein abhi influencer ki kami hai. Everyone who's an influencer or a creator is doing it out of their own impulse, or their own creative impulse, whether it's, want to express yourself or get validation from others.
or put up cute pictures and videos of their dogs, cats, and husbands, all pretty much the same category.
Thank you. So I was like, oh yeah, this is like the art of creation. The art of art is entirely selfish and self-indulgent.
While also seeking external validation.
Yeah.
But I think we're kind of lucky that at least like, okay, when you're looking for external validation now, it has to do with, okay, career, work, like you said, your manager is encouraging you, everyone's telling you. At least it doesn't actually disturb our sense of self. Because sometimes when I look around at the present lot of kids, like when I say kids, I'm 31 for context. If there's anybody new listening to this podcast who doesn't know me already as a creator, 16-year-olds these days get really, like, I was reading some online research on this a couple of months ago actually, and they genuinely tie in their sense of like legit self-worth coming from how much people comment and appreciate them online.
Yeah, and that's, I think, unavoidable, right? Especially when you're at such a vulnerable age where you are looking for validation from the outside, and then you get it in this form, and then you sort of have to deal with the volume of it, the comparison to somebody else. I think that, and I remember, I think when we got online, like hyper online was around 2009. And I do remember it fucking, can I say fucking?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say.
I do remember it fucking me up really badly, because I was like, oh no, I must, get to this. These many people must see things, and this is what must happen. Abhi bhi yaar. You like follower ho jaye to phir, brand ko bolungi ki 50 rupees extra for endorsement or whatever.
And advance mein paisa dena, please.
Advance mein paisa, phir, and then influencer ke circle mein izzat milti hai. कि oh my god, इसके इतने सारे फॉलोअर हैं, और यू बेब्स, मतलब ना शक्ल ना अकल ना औकात, लेकिन सब तुम्हारी बैठ के चाटते हैं. So a lot of the external factors are also dependent on how you do, in the online space. So kids getting confused and kids getting, depressed over it is not surprising. I think that compared to when we were online, I think there are more resources for kids to know that this is not the be all and end all.
Yeah, but I hope they're using those resources. You know what I mean? Because it also messes with us sometimes. You and I have had conversations. Like, I know I can honestly speak for myself. On most days, I'm okay. But on the days that I'm not, I'm really not. Like, it can, like you said, for example, people come up to you, hi babe, what's up? Babe? But it's true, because in my own journey, I've been around for over a decade, and so have you.
Yeah.
And I feel like we truly have seen the power dynamic, if that's the right way to put it, change when somebody new comes along, and then you see the way it changes when they happen to cross more followers than you. I almost feel like, wait, but am I that kind of person also? And I kind of I love to put myself under a microscope, and I like drive myself nuts over it sometimes. But do you also see that and observe that, where we realize, yaar, ye to channel hi change ho gaya after you've got more followers?
I realized, and it scares me. I think that's one of the things. I don't participate in sort of the clusterfuck, which is the official trademarked term of a group of influencers. Like the group noun for influencers.
Is that so?
It's called a clusterfuck of influencers. And so,
I can't decide whether to be offended or not right now.
Like a pride of lions, a clusterfuck of influencers.
I refuse to repeat this because मेरी तो रोजी रोटी है, तेरे लिए तो side business है.
No. I'm being. I say it with love. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sounds very
Everything
lovely.
is being said with love. But I saw that dynamic play out. I think even in comedy, like in stand-up, where you see कि उसका ज़्यादा टिकट बिक रहा है, तो अभी उसको सब जाके चाटेंगे. अभी उसको हो गया, तो अभी जो भी बोलेगा, it's great. You know, I saw that dynamic play out quite early on, and I remember consciously making a decision to stay away from it because it, like, then even when someone is licking my ass, like,
Yeah.
please, yaar, you being nice to me is not going to get you anything. Let's approach each other as human beings. And I feel like that is something I still haven't been able to wrap my head around it. I don't engage with the dynamics of it. I have 4 or 5 friends that I'm like fiercely loyal to, irrespective of their follower count. And it has, frankly, it's in my personal opinion, a great way to live.
No, for sure, because I feel like there are very few people that I feel don't need their egos massaged, and I definitely think you're one of them. Because I mean, there's, how do I say it? There's very few people. It's not. I'm trying to like phrase it. So the thing is, I may have been around for as long as I have, but I feel like there are still very few true offline IRL friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's great to hang out with a bunch of people at an event because we're all there. We've all been invited by the same brand or we're on the same trip. But there are very few people I would be thrilled to see the name of ringing on my phone. Or like when I get that message from you about the XYZ life update, it actually makes me happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that is, it happens very far and wide and is very rare because you really get along on a genuine wavelength. And I think that it sucks that there are such few genuine wavelengths going on around.
I don't like that.
In a clusterfuck. Now I'm quoting you on this.
I don't like that. I cannot genuinely care for 40 people, Baba. My budget and bandwidth, I care for 4 people. I will be happy with their life update. I will be happy to give them my life update. Rest, I'm like, wow. You know, there was a thing, ki, nobody will support you like an online friend, right? You know, someone who you've never met before will always be like, fuck you, girl, sister, yay, wo, and all that stuff. But the people you've met online in real life are like, yay, this is a shady person, or this is a person that, we must adjust power dynamics with. Wo wala vibe hota hai. I think, you know what, I'm also 37 years old. I don't have the budget to like that many people. I don't have the budget to care for those many people.
But because I know you personally, I feel like I can take the liberty of saying, had you actually come across 40 genuine people, you would have the budget to care for 40 genuine people. This is why I say you don't give yourself credit. And instead, I know you tend to turn everything into humor and you've basically made a career out of it. But I do think that had you come across 40 genuine people, you would have had them on your speed dial.
That's very kind of you.
No, it's true. And you don't give yourself enough credit for those things. But without us...
See, I hide the fact that I'm a bitch very well.
These are the things you like to convince people about. But those of us who know you know that you're basically a marshmallow.
Please stop telling people this. But you do not need to know.
The real deal. Hello. Like, the name is calling out to it. I'm going to strip your public image over here and tell people what you're really all about. There is some bullshit.
Nudity on this podcast, everyone.
No, there is some bullshit in it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But you don't give yourself enough credit for all the realness you bring to the table. I really do think of you like that.
It's not 5 o'clock yet, Anam. 5 o'clock is crying time. Okay.
No.
I thought we decided that on the first night that we met. 5 o'clock is crying time.
AM.
Yeah, 5 AM is crying time.
Yeah. But see, that night was such an eye-opener for me. But wait, coming back to like work conversations, otherwise you and I are going to go on this emo trip. I can feel it coming in my nerves. But you feel like you lose out on gigs because somebody else has more followers than you. Is that?
Yeah. And I mean, if that's the new parameter, sure.
But see, the thing is, and this is why I'm probing on this. For someone like me, who is a content creator, the numbers have to do with reach. Right? Like, तुम मुझे इतने पैसे दोगे, आपका ad इतने सारे लोग देखेंगे. In your case, your content quality is on stage when you are delivering the laughs. It really doesn't actually have anything to do with how many Instagram followers you have. It should be the responsibility of your booking platform or whatever you want to call it to bring in the tickets. So why does that responsibility go onto you?
No, but it does translate. Now it translates to offline ticket sales, because then, do you have the budget to put your ad out for your live show? Do you have the budget to have enough people be interested if they've not seen you, say, be online or present something online in a while? Then will they remember who you are in order to come to you live? Yeah, people will continue coming. The live medium never ceases to exist, but the numbers will go down in the live medium itself, right? And I mean, like the pandemic. I before the pandemic, I was one of those comedians that was like, I'm a real performer. I connect with the audience because I'm an artist. I don't do all these things online. Yikes! And then, like, the moment the pandemic hit, I was like, I will be slitting my wrists at 4 p.m. on Instagram Live. Please tell your friends to join. I think that, like, that whole transition of realizing that the online medium is as important hit me during the pandemic. Because I came back from a show, doing a show, a sold out show in Malaysia, and I was all very happy and everything. And suddenly I'm like, oh God, we have to sit at home for 3 months with no shows, no going anywhere. And I realized the importance of having an online presence and then consistent online presence, right? There are days I don't feel like being online today. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel like being online today. I don't feel like putting a camera to my face today. And I'm so grateful that I'm not solely dependent on having my face on camera every day.
I mean, my takeaway from what you're saying to me is that the role of a comedian has essentially transitioned from being just a comedian who creates and delivers the content to also marketing your offline shows. Because that wasn't the case before. It was about your material and about your delivery and about, just enjoying something for real, like in real life.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that now you kind of have to market
Oh,
yourself.
hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
And pandemic ने तो हम सबको अपनी औकात याद दिला दी.
बैंड बजाई ना, जो
जहाँ
बैंड
मौका
बजाई.
मिला perform करो.
Yeah, जो बैंड बजाई, because you realize that the stages had changed entirely and the mediums had changed. And I remember, dude, for the longest time, I didn't get online. I would not post videos of myself because I was, and I hate saying this out loud, I was really embarrassed that my house was not pretty. It was not aesthetic looking, didn't have white tiles with a carelessly thrown rug in the background with a Shih Tzu, called like Ellen DeGeneres hanging out in the background. I was very conscious of that for a very, very long time because I said, हमारी तो टाइलें पुरानी हैं, cupboard पुराने से Godrej का, nobody's cleaning my mirror every day. How can I post a selfie when 80% of the comments are, there is dirt on your mirror? So I'm like, abhi outfit of that kaise lagao, then I started cleaning my mirror. But I also, I think, and it's a function of growing up. I think it's a function of growing up at, I think, 34. I was like, oh, yeah, how much more can I pretend? What life can I construct for people online that would satisfy me to put out? And then to do it with consistency and urgency कि मतलब दुनिया मर रही बाहर, हमें फिर भी पैसे बनाने, performance तो करना ही है
और आईने साफ करने. But see, this is what you've said has kind of reminded me on how perspective is so different, because literally just the other day when we were talking about you and me being on this podcast, one of the main things that came to my mind was Aditi's authenticity is so guns blazing and so I don't give a fuck that now it's shocking me that you care कि तुम्हारी टाइलें पुरानी है, because the way I see it, and again, this is something that is both good and works for people like you and I also, I will say, and also clearly works against people like you and I also, I will say, that I remember seeing a story of you just from last week where you were in a bus and you talked about how it feels like such a Bombay thing to sit in a BST bus. It reminded you of like childhood and bachpana. And I sat in a train after a really long time and I posted about it. And now these are things I would assume we should all take pride in. Now, I mean, I get it. We all love to impress the rest of the world. And yeah, those white interiors and clean mirrors are very different from the reality of life, especially, I mean, pandemic was a whole other scenario in case, of course. But those are the things that I think you don't realize people notice and love about you. Because I would, I appreciate the level of just genuine detail you put out there. I mean, so there were two kinds of DMs that I got when I posted my train stories because I wanted to avoid traffic and got onto a train. I live
And
very
it's so much faster. I don't know why more people don't do it.
exactly. And I live very close to a train station, right? And for me, it was like, oh my God, I'm sitting in a train after so long. Of course, this also makes us sound a little bit privileged because we're doing it out of choice. So I want to acknowledge that. But at the same time, people do use it and then don't post it because they're embarrassed of it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like it's great if we just talk about it. And what I was coming to was that there were two types of DMs I personally got. I want to understand what you got, okay? Because there were people who were like, oh my God, you still travel in trains. And then there were people like, oh my God, you still travel in trains? Like, what's with that? Like, what's coming at you when you put this side of just your actual life? Fuck the Pinteresty, Instagrammy, aesthetic-y feel. Like, what is actually coming at you? What are people responding to you with?
So I got a lot of this. How can you do this? So and actually that day when I posted the bus stories, I had been taking a bus consistently through that week because I had to go to Andheri at like 8 in the morning. Okay, I'm sorry, but trains were too crowded and many battery rickshaw taxi mein. So buses were the best, right? You got hawa while you were going to Andheri. The route was pretty. I'd gone for 5 whole days. I was taking the bus, and I got people messaging me, being like, "How can you do this? You are a celebrity." And I was like, "Pehla to please adjust your standards of what a celebrity is. But no, you cannot put things like this. It looks bad." And I was like, to who? My life is fine. I don't. And again, as I said, it was perspective. It came to me when I was like 35, which is far too late. I mean, in my mother's personal opinion. But it just now I really couldn't care less. If it offends you, if it upsets you, there's an unfollow button, there's a block, there's so many options. Like I feel like I can't handle the load of your expectations, especially with basic shit. Like somebody was like, "Oh, your house is not clean." So I was like, "Tu aaja, saaf karne, please.
Invite kar do, ye mera address hai, aa jaiye."
Your house is too cluttered. I was like, "Okay." So, you come and clean. I don't have the budget for that right now.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying it's surprising even to me that, and I know you and I'm still surprised. So this is a reminder to everyone listening, watching, knowing us, that there are two types of people. One type of those people should not. I should just stop my sentence there before I say something controversial in my first episode. What we've established is, of course, you've been around for a while, you've lived and learned, and some of it is not expecting external validation, while some parts are. And both parts are human, little reminder. But what I want to understand is, especially because we touched upon the pandemic a little bit, I know that we all have like these management representation agencies and PR and managers and different types of designations that are ever evolving and coming. But has social media and social media alone, like, has anybody ever slid into your DMs not to hit on you, but in fact to be like, hey, I have a gig for you? Like, have you ever gotten actual monetized work, not from brand associations, but like performing, but they've like literally just initiated it through socials?
Oh, yeah. A ton. And actually, in the last year, I started putting out like stand-up clips on Instagram. And I think a lot of work came through that. People were like, "Oh my God, that's really funny." And then they'll slide into your DMs and be like, "We have this happening. Would you like to come and perform?" And then I'll give them my manager's number and then they get in touch and they'll sort of sort out the process. I don't personally like to conduct business in my DMs. Like the moment someone's like, "We have a gig for you," I'm like, "This is, the work person's number. Make this conversation work. If you want to talk about other stuff, like, yeah, then we can. But like work stuff, I'm like, you know what? If it starts in DMs, it should get out of DMs because that is not the place to conduct work, in my personal opinion."
So I fully agree on that, but I want to know why you say that. Like perspective, I want to kind of see. So I want to see like kind of your perspective on this.
So I've realized that I have a sort of personal relationship with a lot of people in my Instagram DMs, right? There are people who don't want to, comment on something in public. So then they'll, write you a DM and they'll be like, "I feel like this. And then I'll respond with like, "Oh my God, I never thought of it that way." Or, "Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about." And I feel like I can have that kind of relationship with people in my DMs. I don't want that to become a like, okay, now you have to come down for the gig at 9:20 p.m. Please remember to wear red clothes. I don't want that space to be that. That is official instruction that must come from official places, and keeping the two separate is very important to me. I'm also just, I have an ADHD brain, and so I like to keep things separate. It offends people. I've had people become very offended when they're like, why can't you respond here? I was like, because, I prefer just keeping work and personal stuff separate. Is that okay? And if they're shouting and screaming and all, then I'm like, oh,
You should reply and say my DMs are as cluttered as my house. That's why.
yes. You can send someone to clean my DMs also. Yeah. Just please.
I mean, see that I'm gonna bring you why I got into this conversation on Twitter a couple of years ago actually with someone about why I don't want to close deals on the DMs. And I think that what happens if somebody just unsends the previous, my trust issues kick in right there. I'm like, तुमने मेरे से काम करवा दिया और सब कुछ unsend कर दिया तो मैं क्या करूँगी? So I am one of those very weird content creators that enjoys the corporate structure to things where even if you are booking one Instagram post with me, my team will send you a release order with all of our terms and conditions. भाई ये लो miscommunication का कोई scope है ही नहीं ना आप unsend कर सकते हो ना.
I mean, like, so email is kind of official now, right? It does count as official paperwork, And I think I prefer having my management there. I love my current management. They're awesome. And so I want them to be in the loop about everything I'm doing. And I want them to know. And they've been more than forthcoming and more than kind and more than, accommodating to me. So I would like to have them in the space, and I can't be like, hey, check my Instagram DM, mere ko show inquiry.
Welcome to my personal favorite segment, Slide Into My DMs. This is where I take a peek into my guests' DMs. And yes, I'll be sharing mine too. In this no-holds-barred segment, we nosedive into our guests' inboxes, as well as messages from you to us from my Instagram. Buckle up for a potentially scandalous round of messages and some sweet ones too. Let's go! I did ask Aditi well in advance to come with a few DM screenshots because I feel like we get so much variety of bullshit. It wouldn't be a show where social media at its core is what we're talking about. It wouldn't be a show where, we're talking about social media at its core without talking about the most rubbish DMs we get. So Aditi, let's have at it.
Oh my God, can you pass me my phone? I'm so excited about this. So you know what? I want to talk about this gentleman. I reckon it's a gentleman called Vibes. His name is Vibes. And
when you say gentleman and his name is Vibes, thoda sa I'm judging. Sach bolti hu.
Listen, I love him, okay, because he's been DMing me for about 2 years now. I haven't responded to a single one, but he has been absolutely consistent with how magical my smile is, with what a wonderful person I am. And I'm like, you know what? I can't even block you. I can't even block you. I'm getting my daily validation from this gentleman named Vibes. Vibes, if you're listening to this, this is for you. Vibes.
Vibes. A gentleman named Vibes. This will be a chapter in Aditi's life.
Yeah.
When there's a book or a movie on her life.
Listen, what if Vibes is like someone like Chris Hemsworth, like that?
See, this is where you don't need the external validation because you're so fucking delusional that you will say anything to make yourself happy.
So Vibes has been...
If you're listening, she loves you.
I have not responded to a single DM.
Wait, so you mean to say he's not in your general folder? He's in your requests folder?
No. He's in my general folder.
So he knows you're reading?
He knows I'm reading it.
But you don't reply?
No, I don't. So I imagine that Vibes is like...
Chris Hemsworth, yeah.
I don't know how to do a Chris Hemsworth accent. So I'm just...
There's voice messages in here.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Can I play one of
them? No, I've never heard them. So I'm worried that if he knows that I've heard them, फिर मेरी Vibes के साथ शादी करनी पड़ेगी. What happened was, it was somebody who messaged me on WhatsApp. Okay, I don't know how they got my WhatsApp number. They got my WhatsApp number. They were like, ma'am, really need your help. Because I am, I have this business and I want to get it out via you or something along those lines. So I'm in the loo, and it was one of those rare times when I was in the loo and I didn't have my phone with me. And so my friend outside, Zamina, was with my phone. She's like, your phone is ringing. Then I said, who is it? Suddenly she's like, Hardik Patel. So I'm like, okay. Now, Hardik Patel has sent a bunch of messages being like, hello, hi, hello, looking for help, hi, hello. Massage, hello, hi. Looking for help, massage. Hardik Patel. Now he's sending these. So Zamina gets very excited. He says, आप कहाँ पे रहते हो? मैं मीरा रोड पे रहता हूँ. So she like, मैं तीरा रोड पे रहती हूँ. Which I don't know why she had to fucking respond. So now then he thinks that we're starting a conversation. That happens. I forget, right? She sends a bunch of messages. Ki nahi. He says, मैं soft massage करूँगा. She's saying, I like it hard. Now all this has happened. I've forgotten about it. The next day, I'm sitting with my partner and we're eating bhutta. And suddenly Hardik Patel starts messaging again. So then my partner gets very excited and he starts sending him pictures of the bhutta. And then telling him, oh, I am in Singapore right now. Where are you? And all this stuff. So now, I think
So now he thinks he's in a relationship
we are,
with you.
if Vibes and Hardik Patel are the two people that I'm currently dating through social media.
I'm still stuck on massage and then I will do a soft massage.
The latest one is he like, Mem, do you have any friends?
Oh my God, does he want you or the friends?
That hurt.
I'm sorry, he's the one asking.
It's not only for me.
We are going in very many directions. This slide into my DMs has
wait.
opened up Pandora's box.
Just stop it, okay?
You have 2 WhatsApps.
Wait, yeah. So
Can you teach me how to do that?
Yes. I have a wait. Oh, now I blocked him. But he says
wait, okay. Enjoy के लिए आपका address बोलो, मैम. खुद
कब आना मुंबई? वेट, कल आना. आपको सर्विस मस्त दूंगा मैम. एंजॉय होगा. बोलो मैम. मैंने अभी तक मुंबई में बहुत सारी आंटी सर्विस कर दी है. आपका एड्रेस भेजो मैम. जॉब करती ही क्या हो? हाय मैम, आपका पिक मोकोलो. Now Moklo, which is Gujarati, which is why we found out that he is Gujarati. Ma'am, hi, ma'am. आप कल बात करता हूँ. Good night.
Wait, I think it's very important to mention over here that all of these messages that she's just read out have all been sent within a span of 3 to 4 minutes.
He's maximizing because there are many aunties that he has to massage. Anam, I feel like you're not even understanding this as an entrepreneur.
This segment needs to end here. I have dived straight into the deep fucking ends of your DM and I'm about to drown. Word association.
Okay, word association.
Okay,
correct.
and I feel like you will really kill it. And yes, you will get the hamper even if you were absolutely shit at it, which is what we were going into.
Why watch me be shit? That was okay.
Watch me be the shit. Tombstone. बता रही हूँ.
Yeah, tombstone material. लेकिन हमारे में तो जला देते हैं ना. तो
मैं significant ऐसे if I'm still alive first of all तो ऐसे मैं metaphorically करवा दूंगी.
How sweet.
And I'll get it done in that, you know, that garden you keep posting about in your building, that garden you look after.
Yeah.
But this is conditions apply that I'm also still alive, huh? Like, hello, what if I die before
now
you?
you're putting pressure on me to die before you.
Little bit.
This is ridiculous. I've signed up for too much to be a guest on this podcast.
Hi guys, it's your girl Anam C and welcome to my podcast, The Real Deal with Anam C. This is the podcast where I sit down with some of the most talented creators and influencers in the industry and ask them to spill their secrets, share hilarious anecdotes, and get into the inside scoop of this and so many other industries you'd want to know about. So get your favorite snack, start driving, prep for your cardio time, or just stare at a wall as I bring you the real deal on the people who are making the entertainment world what it is today. Drum rolls, please. It's time for our next segment, Associate This. A fast-paced word association game where my guests get no more than 10 seconds to respond. So get ready, get set, associate. Okay, your first word. Labor.
Women in labor. Labor.
But that makes sense. It was the name of your podcast. It is the name of your podcast.
Oh, sorry. Women in labor. That is right. The Women in labor, the name of my podcast.
Yes, Aditi podcast plug. Protest.
Important.
Feminist.
Me.
Filters. Not you.
Not me. Paris IRL.
Ari, love it. Okay. Chutkule.
Lut Chuke, which is the character I do. And the character's name came actually from the word Chutkule. I sort of like made it an anagram and made it Lut Chuke.
Gen Z.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will dive into thank you why after. Okay. Magic.
Periods?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
saying we should bring up
It-
periods once at least? You're saying
Very magical.
that's how to win awards, dude, on
It's.
podcasts.
I swear this wasn't planned. It was on my list already. Vibes.
Vibes, if you're listening to this, no, vibes, toxic. Yeah.
I can hear his heart breaking, like just catch falling on the floor in a horror movie scene. It's playing in my ears. Listen, Annam.
Inspiring. I'm very grateful to Gen Z.
Okay, tell
I
me
think
why.
Gen Z really has sort of, um, I think the one thing I'll always remain grateful to Gen Z for is sneakers, is normalizing sneakers with everything. Like I remember growing up as a teenager. I remember I have flat feet and I remember feeling utterly inadequate and useless and ugly because I couldn't put on like heels all the time. And I feel like with Gen Z, the way they prioritize comfort over, this highly hyper feminized, media driven feminine aesthetic. I love that. I love that about Gen Z. I love that they care. I love that they care. Like nothing, things will happen and they will care so much. I'm like, तुम लोग के पास काम नहीं है क्या? Then I realize, हाँ नहीं
नहीं
है.
है.
मतलब, like one of the things I remember, and I think I'm like a Deepika Padukone stan hardcore. I love that woman. Like everything good in life should happen to her. I remember her stans, like her fans. She was going to do a film with a director who's known for fairly misogynistic films. And her fans literally were trending on social media asking her not to do that film. And I just thought it was so sweet. It was so nice. And it was such a sort of positive reflection of what fans want out of their stan figures now. I do also think that the whole stan culture that we are seeing is because of a lack of religiosity. Like, I think we are less dependent on religions and social structures. And so we end up becoming stans of, say, a singer or an actor or some kind of like figure. And I think that Gen Z has sort of
Push those
established
buttons.
that, and also they care, man. I care. I love how much Gen Z cares. I love how much they care. And I just, I don't know. You know, the idea is otherwise, if you, as you grow older, you're like, oh, these kids these days, fuck them. They don't know anything. Read it. I love it. I think they're amazing. I think there's so much to learn because there are parts of you that you have forgotten as you grow older. And when you look back at people younger than you or what they're doing, what makes them angry, what makes them happy, what makes them excited, you remember parts of yourself that used to feel like that or some variation of that. And I love that.
I mean, I feel like on a parting note, because I do think we're getting there, the one thing I want to highlight that is constantly my takeaway with conversations with you is that you tend to see so much beyond what most people see. Like this entire observation of Gen Z, I feel like surface level, I've read about it, I've seen about it, but I feel like the fact that you are so passionate about just even gratitude for a whole different generation is I cannot say this enough times. You need to give yourself more credit, woman, because you really truly know how to just care and be there and be you and stay real while you're doing it. Because I mean, I'm saying it for the millionth time in life and for the second or third time on this podcast, but there aren't very many people who are like that. And just know that I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Can you, just because I feel like it'll be like one last question before we end this podcast. I swear.
Okay.
Tell us one thing that genuinely, when I mean like genuinely,
Okay.
you've never shared on social media. No, I'm not asking you to talk about your partner on social media. I'm
Huh.
not. This is not one of those shows.
I'll be like, fine, I have my period today, and there's a pimple on my bum. Like, oh, it's actually awesome. Something I've never shared on social media.
It could be a win. It could
My
be
mother. I want to share that lady on social media so badly, so badly. I keep telling her, I said, Mummy, let me take 2 photos of you and put them online. आपको पता नहीं जो mother daughter sponsorship brand deal मिलेंगे मम्मी लाखों कमाएंगे लाखों, and she does not care. She does not care. She's like, no, I don't want your attention seeking nonsense. नहीं, I said, मम्मी लाखों कमाएंगे तो फिर तो पैसे मेरे ही होंगे. I said, आप ले लो लेकिन कमाएंगे ना. No, she does not care. She does not want to be a part of my life online. And I'm very sad about that. I'm very sad about that.
So cute.
It's true. I'm
You
like
sound
my
like a
mother.
child, like throwing a little tantrum about mummy nahi aa rahi hai.
Sachi yaar, Sachi. Mummy, if you're listening with vibes. I don't know why my mother and vibes
Mr.
will be sitting
Patel,
together.
why are you not?
Sorry.
You are leaving one potential lover out of the conversation.
You're saying my three immediate family members, Mr. Patel, vibes, and mom.
Your words, not mine.
You know what? I wish I could share my mom. I wish I could share how badass. Like people ask me a lot, no, where do you get this from, and who are you like, and on. Dude, I'm 200% like the Adivas version of the Adidas that is my mom. That's what I am, and I wish I could share her.
My mummy ke pet se seek kar aayi hu.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes.
Oh my god! Thank you for coming on my podcast. Thank you, really, truly, thank you. You get the hamper anyway, as promised.
Thank you, cutie. I appreciate it, and I think I'm so excited to see what the hell you do with your life because honestly, I'm a little taken aback. I know we met at that Cosmo Awards and everything, but I think that I've seen you take up things with gusto, and I've seen you pour your heart and soul into them. And I, irrespective of the outcome, I appreciate you being dogged about who you are and how you want to put out things. And wherever you go on this journey, you will have me as a cheerleader. And depending on how our relationship goes, Vibes and Hardik Patel will also be.
Just when I was like, oh my god, I need to hold down a tear, you go in and throw that in.
Vibes
But that
and Hardik
basically
Patel.
sums you and me up in a nutshell, doesn't it? It really actually does.
I think it does.
There are many things I'm thankful for, especially winning the award that particular night. It would have been a very sour evening to look back to. But I think even leaving aside the award, my favorite thing was meeting you that night and sitting and crying with you till 5, 6 a.m. Look at where it brought us 5 years later.
We're going to be crying across the world one day.
Is it 6 a.m. And with that, we come to the end of today's episode. I really hope you guys had a great time listening in. Catch new episodes or catch up on old ones too on BingePods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to turn the bell icon on so you get notified every time I drop a new episode. This is The Real Deal with Anand C.